John Le Snail. Oh my God almighty.
Hello.
How do you get on a train?
You can't be dressed in London. You come to the capital city of our great country.
Yeah?
Wearing stripy socks and
I've come straight from the
sandals.
training pitch, mate. The things I do for this.
Yeah, but we're quite a stylish show.
Play me a fiddle, 8 weeks off.
We're quite a stylish
lovely,
show.
mate.
We've got a clothing deal with Tommy Hilfiger. You come looking.
Was that the plan for me to come in whilst
Do you get paid by Berkey's?
No, but they are the best for the feet.
You actually blend into the sofa. It's just like a head on a sofa.
Where's Hask? Is he not here today?
He's in jail.
He's in jail.
How are you?
I'm good.
What's cooking?
I need to put my phone on
You
charge.
don't sound very well.
No, I am okay. No, I need a charger.
There's one here if you want.
Thank you, mate.
I hope I'm on
This is a big show for you today, John. I think this is your official welcome to the dark side.
Yeah.
Am I the media?
You are now.
And this is where you've had a very good run of it so far with the snail chat and with the frivolities that you brought.
The snail chat was meant to be
an England
for
performance that's left a lot of people with a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm more concerned about. We're not on yet, are we?
We are on.
You right?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, Chris.
It's great, isn't it?
He's getting very settled in now. Shoes are off.
Yeah.
Going in his comfy tracksuit.
It seems the ambience is different in here today.
It's quite nice and relaxed, isn't it?
No, it seems more intense.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, that light's new.
Oh, I see.
It's a huge, bright light.
Would you give it that's to make sure we get your best side?
Just got to take a deep breath. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Do you go for loo?
I will. Not yet. I will do.
Right.
Why don't you go anywhere else?
Go now. Let's get you a coffee, and then we're going to do the show
Yeah.
for real. Yeah. Hello, Dream Team. Welcome along to this week's episode of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby in partnership with our very good friends at Continental Tyres. Round 3 is done and dusted. I think Scotland and Ireland are probably the two wearing the biggest smiles this week. On this week's show, we're going to get into what was another round of chaos and drama. Jonny May is here. Lord of Tyndalltown is here.
Hello.
Should we throw out a few sort of headline stats? Ireland, 15 out of 15. Aiming to be the first side to claim a maximum 25-point haul from their 5 Six Nations games. Triple crown on the cards for Scotland after they bounced back to defeat England. France's World Cup hangover definitely continues. And are Italy on the verge of taking the big step forward that they have threatened before, but have never managed to quite take? Heartbreak in their round 3 game, but a lot to take from it. So we'll come on to the other fixtures a little bit later on, but let's start with Scotland 30, England 21. And it is a fixture that generates a lot of passion. It generates a lot of talking points, and it's generated a lot of emotion off the back of this year's performance. England, a step forward or a step back?
I think step forward, but the pressure's on. The pressure will be on them now. I just hope they can focus inward, because the noise is going to. Well, you sense the noise and the frustration and the media and the negativity. But if they look in and think objectively, rationally, like I think there was a few step forwards within that game. And although it was frustrating and there was a few things that happened which were a shame, the first 20 minutes I thought was like, I can see what Steve's been trying to get us to do, sort of thing. Like the contestable kicking game was good, Coley in the set piece, the blitz defence, lovely first phase try. Watching it, I think Murrayfield was rattled. Was really rattled. But
well,
then,
they said that actively in commentary, didn't they? They said it's really quiet.
It is flat, and we were all over him. But then, like, it's not a problem with the players. Like, they're all good players, but on any given day or at any certain time, a couple of players can drop the ball, and then you end up with a case of like it becomes contagious throughout the team, and then the errors just become infectious. Unfortunately,
You very articulately said last week, "I want a performance. I don't just want a result." You got ambition, if not the performance necessarily. Do you feel excited, invigorated by what you've seen? Are you maddeningly frustrated? Would you have taken 3-0 with hindsight?
No, I wouldn't take 3-0. I think that's the best game they've tried to play in 4 years.
Right.
Now, you have to take... People will probably shout at me going, well, you can't have that many handling errors, but there's a lot of reasons for that. I thought, generally, if how I watch the game, I go through contributions, and then I mark people's names and I put marks down next to their contribution where I think they've done something good. That could be Coley's line chase when he chased that kick and then made that tackle. It could be Cummings for Scotland, so it works both sides, just to show unbalanced when he comes through and he nicks the ball off the top by being smart and coming around and intercepting that ball. Things that you tick off, whether it's Underhill's turnovers or whatever. And England players had far more marks in their column than the Scottish players. Positives. But obviously there are those, calamity ball hitting your face that you just don't expect from like Furbank or the players who dropped it. 40 doesn't normally make a poor pass, but I think he made a couple in that game if I was honest. But I say that's probably come from how they were trying to play. We haven't seen I don't think we've seen a wide strike this whole tournament. Yet the first one they went to, they ended up scoring. And you're like, okay, let's do that. And then suddenly you see Furbank running it back from different positions. I thought the intent was completely different, to play a better game. But unfortunately, as Jonny said, mistakes became a bit infectious and we gifted them all their points. Nothing really went right for us. And I thought a lot went right for them. Now, that's not taking away they still went on and won the game and everything else.
Deservingly won it.
Yeah.
But perhaps England made it hard for themselves. If I was to say to you, and am I right in saying that under Eddie Jones, there were 2 years where you didn't actually practice attack? There was a story that came out of camp, which is that you weren't really focusing on attack. You were leaving that until the sprint into the World Cup to develop an attack that was going to take the world by storm, and then it never quite happened. He got booted.
It's the ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Did you focus a lot on attack under Eddie in the latter years?
No, we didn't particularly focus a lot on attack with Eddie. We wouldn't. I'd expect that attack isn't the priority of Steve either. It's very much like the pillars.
What does that mean? I mean, that needs some explanation for an idiot like me.
The fundamentals of Test match rugby and winning games is first the defence has to come first, then set piece, and then breakdown. So like a lot of our stuff with Eddie was just about breakdown, and then the breakdown and collisions and hitting the ball at pace. He's just on to the forwards constantly about hitting the ball at pace, being physical. That first pod off 9, getting and it basically Eddie would have been like, well, if we get our defence right, we'll create opportunities to score off, to creating turnovers. If our set piece is good, we're going to get advantages to attack from, and if our breakdown and our physicality is good, we'll have speed of ball and attack will happen.
Sorry. So this is, but this might well be the next 10 minutes. I just want to go into this. England don't focus on their attack. Is that what you're saying?
No, they do practice their attack, but I can guarantee Wiggy will obviously be fighting for attack time. But we've just brought in a completely new defence coach.
Yeah.
So that would have to have been what they've been working on the most. And of course, every team goes into a game with your menu. So what are we doing from this line out, this line out, this line out? These are our scrum options, and then every team basically plays the same phase shape. But no, they probably wouldn't have had as long as they would have wanted on their attack as yet, because the foundations are still the foundations. Eddie and Steve are very similar, and we've just brought in a new defence coach.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting.
Steve hinted at that before. I think it was Sonia who was talking to him, and she brought up the fact that Felix Jones said it took 14 games to
build the defence
at South Africa, and Steve immediately went, yeah, but we're trying to accelerate that.
Yeah.
So that would.
But I literally saw the model in the first 20, and it worked. The contestable kicks, Coley in the set piece.
So actually, the set piece. I mean, I know you're not.
Like he wants the best set piece in the world, the maul, the scrum. Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago we had massive question marks over England's set piece.
Yeah, I mean, before
about scrum
before the tournament. Yeah, before the tournament, I was like, well, surely we're not rolling Coley out again.
I'm pretty sure Coley, we won a free kick or something off that scrum, which we scored off. So we basically got a scrum turnover. Yeah. Then we had our scrum launch and we scored off that. And that's what our players can do. 40 out the back, Elliot on a shoulder, really nice execution. Like I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, really smart, good faces on top of them, playing on momentum. And then it was just such, like I said, their try, great attack from Scotland, but we'll be kidding ourselves a first phase try. Then their second try, we've gone out the back, but Steve would be completely fine because we've got a 5-on-3.
Yeah.
So it's the right thing to go out the back. And it's just Ferbs hasn't got a problem with catching the ball. He's a great player. but that sometimes happens, and that happened, and unfortunately it lands in bloody Douan's hands. And shout out to him, by the way, because it's great when a winger gets the opportunity to match up with their ability, and you can just see the potential of him.
We like to stick in a Continental Tyres showstopper moment of the week. His second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of, and I can't remember if I read it or heard it, but it felt like that was the punch that England really struggled to recover from, because they'd had a really good first 25 and suddenly it was a blink of an eye and suddenly they're 17-10 down. How good is he?
No,
full hoof.
Yeah, like a handful. Like it's like a George North of when he bursts onto the scene, just like bigger and faster than most people, really. So it's just great to see the winger get the opportunity to match up with his ability, and then you see his potential. You see what he can do. Like, nobody's stopping him. You give him the ball in space, he's going to finish, and he'll finish from anywhere.
I mean this in the nicest possible way. He's been a massive pain in the arse for England in the last few years.
But I think he's that type of player who goes looking for a ball, though. He's a winger who's got a free license. I think actually, both of their wingers have a free license to go find it, and he'll turn up, and he's a bit like Knowlesy. He'll turn up at 9 and he'll pick and go, and he'll do everything. And it just at the moment he's riding that wave that everything seems to go his way. When it that bounce of that ball on that third try was
lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well done, fellas. Let's give our Continental Tyres showstopper of the week to Dwayne McSwerve, Duhan van der Merwe, for his second. I think, any one of the three really would have done it, but well done. That was a remarkable moment, and it probably is the moment that took the game away from England. So Duhan van der Merwe's second is our Continental Tyres showstopper of the week. Throwing it forward, and what is very interesting about this is I'm probably throwing up questions that most England fans are asking sitting on their sofas at home. Scotland, they've been beaten. Ireland at home, they've got a 21-point start, England. I cannot remember, and I've been watching England since 1988, I cannot remember any game in which England have been 21 points down with the bookies going into a fixture.
I'll bite your arm off for that.
I'm not allowed to bet.
No, because you're still playing.
Take England.
Okay.
You're allowed to give your theory. Obviously, you won't bet, but I would take all day long.
Okay. Then it's France away. Then it's Japan away. Eddie Jones' first game, the Eddie Jones factor. Then it's New Zealand away twice. Scott Robertson's first game in charge. Then it's New Zealand at home, Australia at home under Joe Schmidt, South Africa at home, and Japan at home. So my question is, how much longer can England claim to be a team in transition? And at what point does the change need to really kick into action?
I would say, and Jonny can have his own opinion on it, I would say this is the first actual bit where we're in transition. So we're bringing in new players are getting blooded. Obviously, Feyi-Waboso came on. Wowzers. Looks lively. And it's interesting to see what Steve's approach is. We talked about whether they just throw all the young kids in. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll still believe that he's got a chance of beating both of these two in the last, and I think he has. Ireland is so good at the moment that maybe not that game. I don't know whether I could see them winning that game, but I feel that they could give them a sterner test than they've been given so far. And then I think they can beat France.
Okay.
I actually think they will beat France, but at the moment, how France are playing.
I just, as a player who's been in that environment recently, I just zoom in and I just think, bloody hell, it's tough to be a player or a staff member in that environment right now, because
in the England game,
because the Scotland game was such a big game, and it was like I just think if we'd gone up there and won that game, it looks so different to all of a sudden we probably turn the momentum and the fans and the agenda in a positive way behind us. And now it's just like, well, you've got lots of senior players, and like you said, it has been a tough few years with England. They're feeling that frustration. There's new players who are coming in and getting a taste of how tough it can be. Like, what does Steve do selection wise now? It is just a headache. Like, do we see it that the case is we made a real step forward and it's just a case of we had too many drop balls and we stick at it and go it again, or do we change? Like the pressure's on. Yeah. Like the pressure is on that group now.
Yeah. I would say, this is me, and it's easy because I'm not in that environment and I don't have that pressure on me. But I could look at that game and go, look, you've got to just dust that off, because
I hope that's what happens.
Your players aren't going to make those
So
mistakes
would you go again with that backline?
I thought it was a bold call putting Lawrence in there, because everyone I've ever talked about say he's a confidence cresting player, and coming off the back of how many weeks without a game?
4, 5, 6.
He's form for Bath. Yes, you put him straight in, but he's not that. I don't think he's that type of player. That you do have players.
I don't think he and
That's
Slade
why I
trained
feel.
a
I
lot
do feel
together.
a bit sorry for the players sometimes, because I don't know any other country that changed around with selection as much as England. Eddie did it a lot. It's happened a lot. Steve's been trying, and that's what he's got to do, of course.
Why doesn't Steve come out and say, do you know what, I'm just going to pick the same 23 wherever I can?
Wouldn't that, I think that at some point it's a blessing. And I've been thinking about it. I watched the England A guys. We've got so many good players, more so than Scotland or Wales or potentially even Ireland, in terms
or more options. People will argue about. Yeah.
Then it's a cycle. Like, our performances are disappointing, so then we must find a new answer. Somebody new must come in. This guy's hot right now.
Yeah.
This guy's getting old. Flick him out. This, and particularly centres. We need the stat men up. Like, how many games has one centre partnership gone in a row? Over the
I find
last
it amazing that Lawrence and Slade were playing together for the first time.
And then
Lawrence
it's
got 20 caps, Slade's got 60.
Yeah, and then it's like 40 with those two, and then it's Furbank at full, and then Dingwall has just done a good job for 2 weeks, but Ollie Lawrence has been unbelievable in the Premiership, and then it's like, okay, now we've lost. That wasn't the answer. I need to change it.
I wouldn't have changed Dingwall for that game. I said that at the start. I think you could have brought Ollie Lawrence off the bench and let him find his feet again without that bit of pressure. I thought it was a bold call dropping Freddie Stewart, and before tournament, I would have said, well, possibly, before Italy, you could give someone else a go, because you know what you can get with Freddie.
That's where it's also hard being you're thinking, bloody hell, I haven't got a game. I've got one game here to nail, or else I'm out. And I've been there. They'll all be bricking it. They'll be coming in Wednesday thinking, am I getting picked? Am I getting? You're spending 2 weeks feeling sick, thinking, am I even going to get picked?
And now what do you do? Because I think Furbank played well, but you're going into Ireland, really strong kicking game, really strong in the air.
It's something I do not miss. They are going in thinking, what the hell am I doing? What is going to happen this net? Am I even playing?
Yeah.
They don't. None of them will know. I don't know. Nobody will have a clue.
Not good for your anxiety levels.
Not good for the anxiety.
No.
Jesus,
Are you happy you're out right now?
But also, what it feeds into, if you look at the teams that are performing
well,
well,
that feeds into how you play as well.
Yeah.
If you've used up all your anxious energy and stress before you even get to the game to get picked, it's difficult to perform.
That feeds in. If you look at the three teams who performed at the weekend, Ireland picked from 4 provinces, but are predominantly Leinster. Italy picked from two teams essentially, but it's 90% Benetton. And Scotland have got 2 teams to pick from, with a sprinkling from Bath, etc. The more time together, the better. And that's where England at the moment. And I can't see
for
a
the
quick
life of
fix
me, I don't know what the team. It's not about all the players are brilliant. I just don't know for the life of me what the team's going to be.
Yeah, and you've got
and
Marcus
like I said,
Smith
Marcus
to come
is
back
coming
from
back.
injury. Yeah, exactly.
And then Danny Kerr started, and now
Ben Spencer.
Mitchell's injured. Does Ben Spencer start? There was a handful. There's a
Is there
handful of guys who were pretty good yesterday.
Is there a solution that you can think of for England to give more game time to potential partnerships, combinations, etc.? We spoke about a North-South game. We've spoken about.
No, you're just looking to fill hole. As a coach, right? You have to have a philosophy of how you play. And you have to understand that, and you pick the players who you think consistently will fit into that the better. And then you have to stick with it. Yeah. And you have to, your job of the coach is to give players the confidence that you're my man, you're going to play. Don't worry about if you have a bad game, I've got your back. And I'll deal with the endless amounts of media who will see Alex Dombrant for years who say, he must play, get rid of Billy, he must play. Or someone else, whoever you want it to be, and you've got to wear that. Whoever it might be, you've got to wear that, because you've got to understand that you're building a team to go forward, a long-term project now. So ideally, you want a team that's going to stay. Not everyone's going to stay for the next 4 years, but you want to build a team that is for the long course. I think
Eddie's did start it by the end of his cycle. It was pretty. We knew what we were about.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good going into 2019.
Yeah, it was, and we got there in the end. But Jesus Christ, the amount of people who got 1, 2, 3 caps, and maybe that's what Steve's working his way through now. But I don't know what the solution is, because you could go, here are the 15 central contracts, and these are your bankers. But then, what happens if they start playing poorly? And there's so many good players, and then the pressure of the media, particularly in this country, and the expectation of an England team, as soon as something doesn't go right, you feel like you've got to change people, you've got to fix this, you've got to be so reactionary. And yet, like any player would say, the consistency and trust if is given to you by a coach is going to be, without a doubt, the best way to develop partnerships, the best way to perform, the best way to have confidence. So it's a tricky one. I haven't got a solution, but I just feel stressed on behalf of the players.
And what you guaranteed with nowadays is injuries going to create opportunities for someone else. So you're always going to look at Mitchell as created another opportunity for Danny and Ben Spencer to come in. You're going to, Marcus Smith dropping out is, what we thought might have taken the field against Italy then didn't, and now it's gone down a different way because it's been created. Now, you can't just flip that straight back. That's unfortunate with an injury unless you're having a real problem in that area. George Ford, I don't think he had his best game on the weekend in terms of distribution. I don't think he had a bad game, but I don't think he had his best game. Neither did DC. I don't think Danny had his best game. He got caught a couple of times. He made a couple of errors, kicked the ball out on the full. Wasn't his best game. So that, add in the fact that those two weren't really singing how you would expect them to, and still come away and go, actually, I thought England were trying to do a lot better stuff, puts me in a better mood. Now, do I think Danny will have a bad game again? No. Do I think if Danny has a better game, Fordy will have a better game? Yes.
And as a player, so often that game after a disappointing game,
you want to play it.
Honestly, you want it.
Yeah.
For me, I've had some of my best games after a bad game, because it sits with you and you just focus in. You just want to get out there, and I'd love to give all those guys the chance just to go and do it again, because it doesn't. They're too good. They're too good to make the mistakes that are uncharacteristic 2 weeks in a row. It's not happening, and then they've just got that edge from having gone through it.
We're only talking about our back line.
Yeah.
Our forwards are pretty set, aren't they?
Would you bring in a George Martin?
Well, he came in well on the weekend. He came off the bench well. Now, I think Ollie Chesham hasn't been doing that bad a job, to be fair. I mean,
I'm not saying he has. It's just
yes. But then if you rotate one into a forward pack, you can cope with that.
Yeah,
I think whether Chesham's on.
You're right. It does seem to be more the backs than the forwards.
It does seem to be, and it has been for 5 years. Who's going to play 10?
Yeah,
we've taken one out of that equation in terms of Faz, and we've still got an and an about people saying just let Marcus go play. Well, it doesn't matter if you've got to build it in a certain structure that Steve's going to pick. I think with how Steve wants to play, Fordy probably sits better within that. Mm-hmm. But now, it takes a strength of character to say, right, we can't really bring Marcus back in for 2 games when he hasn't played for.
But that's what I mean. If Fordy and Deese get taken off at the weekend, what do we do now? Bring in 2 new halfbacks?
That's what I mean. Particularly if you swap George out and bring Marcus in, you're looking at a totally different game plan anyway.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm just. This is a difficult situation that they're in right now. But that being said, regardless of who takes the pitch, I think this will be Ireland's toughest game of the Six Nations.
Okay,
that's what I'm predicting.
Can I ask one more question on England, and then I want to move on? A lot of noise around Manny Feyi-Waboso. Rocket off the bench, wonder try. Everyone's like, start him. Why is he going to succeed where Henry Arundel came off the bench against the Wallabies, scored a wonder try, everyone said start him, and is now playing his rugby in Paris? You picked up on Matt Dawson's point around he's playing as if he's out there for the fun of it, and he's not worrying about structures and reputation, and is he going to play and is he not going to play? He's just a young kid making his way in international rugby. Why is he going to succeed in an England team trying to play more rugby than Henry Arundel?
They're both incredibly talented, and Henry, to an extent, did exceed. He played some great rugby for England, and has chosen to pursue his development in France for the time being. But for Waboso, there's a journey that he's got to go on now. He's doing it instinctively. It's happening for him naturally. Like you said, he's probably not thinking about it. He's enjoying it, and he's so gifted that these things will happen. But then what happens? You have your breakthrough. Then people know who you are. So then, okay, right now you've got to play with people putting a name on your back. Then all of a sudden you'll probably come across part of your journey will be, right, the international rugby will highlight a deficiency or a weakness within your game. For me, I ran across the pitch when I started playing international rugby. I didn't really know how to defend. It took for me to go out and get 10 caps to realise, hang on a minute, I need to start running straight, or I need to work on my defence. So but you burst on, and then you realise, okay, there's people now marking me. Now I've got to work on this area of development. And then you've got to stay healthy and keep doing it consistently. So it's just, it doesn't get any, there's just a journey for him to go on. And there's lots of young talented wingers who are sort of in the same sort of stage. Like, they've broken through, they need to get out there and take their chance, which is the first stage, which is what he's done. And he just got to keep improving and developing, and each hurdle at a time, just keep working over those hurdles. But there's no reason why him or any of these other young wingers can't. It's just going to be who does it.
A lot of Arundel's problems was based around Eddie, and he got glimpses and showed what he could do, but then wasn't given the confidence to then go and do it again. And then, in the World Cup, he obviously had a blinder against Chile, and everyone's talking about it. And then I think he touched the ball once, maybe, in the Argentina game. But he's had lots of starts, but then he hasn't really had the support to go, right, no, we'll back you for a bit longer. And then in his mind, he's then got to make a decision about what's best for his livelihood, because there's no guarantees he's going to be playing for England. So you're telling me to stay for that England cash that I might not get. Yes, he might have been offered one of the new central contract type things, hybrid. But that doesn't guarantee him to play. So why would he stay not to play for England, where he could go and experience and play with, Siakolosi, Wan Imhoff, or play with Faz now as he's 10, and Jonny talked about Lancaster, arguably one of the best coach of younger players. Why would he not go and experience that? Whereas I think with Feyi-Waboso, he's in that position now where he's shown something. Now, does that mean you throw him straight back in there? Not entirely sure. I think he's going to deliver that off the bench most times. Mm-hmm. Whereas, there's a completely different mind shift if you then become a starter on how you have to do. Whereas he could just go and empty the tanks in 12 and a half minutes. And he did. He just, for his try, I think he was involved in the 5 rucks previously and everything else, and then just trailed around because he's fresh. And then he's got that natural pace. I think, it started with his kick chase off first restart, where I was like, holy shit, how fast is he? And he ended up where he disrupted it, bounced either Tamaro or Martin, and we were that attack started. He was good under the high ball. So I'm sort of with Jonny here. I think you've got to find a bit of consistency, which is why I'm ashamed that they changed Lawrence. I think if they could have stuck with that same backline, you'd see them get better, I think. Right. And those little chips and changes that you've made, have probably led to a few of those unforced errors that we had.
For me, what I would have liked to have seen for Henry and Waboso is just don't rush them into this. Yeah. They're so talented and so good. Waboso hasn't done a full year in the Premiership yet. Henry arguably didn't do a full year in the Premiership yet. And he says it himself. He wants to develop and become a brilliant player. And he has gone to Racing to develop. He knows he's not the best player that he's ever going to be yet. He knows he's got some work to do and he's got lots of room to grow. But what would be the best set case scenario is he's come in, he's learning, he's training, he's around all these world-class players all the time. Like you said, Tins, he can come off the bench and cause chaos, and just make sure that when you bring him in to start, you give him a run of games, and at that point he is ready. Make sure they are ready, and that's the same for Henry. Maybe he wasn't quite ready to have it then, so give him a little bit more time, and then when you do give him 5, give him a whole Six Nations to go and find it.
I wonder. To try and sum this up, it's been a very English debrief. We're a predominantly English pod. There's some very good Scottish ones out there if this hasn't quite floated your boat north of the border. I wonder whether there needs to be a bit of a public statement from England, which is we are going to take 2024 to try as much consistency as we possibly can over the next 9 games. They're not going to be easy. We're going to get a lot of things wrong, but we're going to try and build a core group of 26, 30 players as much as we possibly can.
But I feel we've been saying this for
I don't think England have. Whereas Gatland has come out and said, I'm throwing in the kids. We've got nothing to lose. It's going to be tortuous, but we're going to see what the kids can do.
Yeah. So we've been, since after that, the World Cup in 2019, and things started changing week in, week out with Eddie, we've been saying that you need consistency, even though I do realise that I said to pick Marcus Smith at fullback for the first Italy game, and we did change things around, and I put Elliot Daly at 13. But that would be for the long term of the Six Nations.
Right.
So I can caveat it however I want because it didn't happen.
Yeah, you're not in the hot seat.
Yeah, I'm not in the hot seat. But no, I always think you've got the best environment for an England environment to be is where it feels like a club team and you know what you're doing. Everyone knows what they're doing. You sort of know you're starting 15. Some people are always going to be pissed off about that. Injury will bring opportunity for those guys as and when, because that's the nature of the game that we play. And you try and take your chances then.
So, summing up, give this team another chance against Ireland.
Yeah, I think just do anything to just take the pressure off this group of players for a second now.
Try and be as consistent as possible now. Stop and come out and say that publicly.
Yes.
We're going for consistency over the next 9 games.
Yeah.
And actually, there's an ambition in there that may not have come off against Scotland, but something is stirring.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Well done. Good debrief.
And well done, Scotland.
Well done, Scotland. Predominantly well done, Scotland. 4 in a row. Nice little addendum to that. And don't forget, Doohan was our Continental Showstopper of the week, so he'll be delighted.
So you get a tyre.
Well done, Cummings. Well done, Ben White.
Finn Russell with the old Spider-Man.
Well done, Finn. And Dempsey, you played very well.
As you said pre-show, though, Scotland were expected to win. They did win. The story in this part of the world isn't necessarily about a Scotland side that at the moment should have won.
Yeah.
Because of...
They should be 3 for 3.
They're so,
that TMO decision is coming back.
3 for 3, and I'm devastated for all of you.
Yeah.
But they're 10, 12, 13 have had a lovely run at it, and it shows the way they're playing in attack.
Although Finn didn't have very much time training with them.
But if you think about it, you go back, that Scotland team has been together for 6 years, really.
Yeah.
If you go through,
thereabouts.
Thereabouts, with 1 or 2 changes, as you would expect.
Been very consistent.
But if you look at Ferguson, George Turner's been there sort of for a while now. The second rows haven't changed too much. A bit different this year.
They've got 4
they flipped around. Back row is always
the centres play together at Glasgow every week.
Yeah.
Nine's been in there for at least 2.5 years now. Obviously, Finn's been there for ages. You've had Jones has been injured a bit, so you've had a bit of flip flop around there. And with the consistency then of fullback with Stuart Hogg, you've been allowed to play around with their wingers a bit. Obviously, Douan's now become he's been in there for a long time, and then you can flip between Darcy, Stain.
Injured at the moment.
Yeah, he has a real problem injury wise. But and the fact that we can actually go name that 15 pretty much, I can name
and we
one.
We can name that for next week as well. And I do not know where we begin with the back line.
Right. Well, perhaps if Steve's listening to this,
I hope
the same again.
I'm
not sure he is. I tell you what I do want to do is we always do our British Airways High Flyer of the Week segment, which is brought to you by our very good friends at British Airways. Instead of picking for the men's England side this week, I'm going to broaden it out a little bit. Probably would be Manny Feyi-Waboso if you were picking a high flyer from the men's team, wouldn't it? But was there anyone in the England A performance who deserves a shout out? Anyone from the England under 20s where you have been coaching? We'll have a word on that in a moment. And we've got to give a nod to Skaz as well. Emily Scarrett, the GOAT, is back for her first appearance in 13 months for Loughborough
Lightning.
Lightning.
Spoke to her this morning. Actually, she's very sore.
Is she?
But she's got
Great
that. Did you ever get this, Johnny, where you get that? You actually enjoy the soreness because you've gone out and done something that you love doing.
You've been stretching.
I used to live. I live for that Sunday and I'm really.
If it's a good game, you enjoy it, the soreness. If it's a bad game, you think, oh God, this is awful.
But I always think the soreness helps with my demons as well. I was like, well, you give it, because it means you've given everything. You don't get sore if you don't give everything.
Zed's come at you with the rolling pin again, isn't it? Exercising your demons.
So what was the question again? Who are the high flyers from the A
so
game,
we have a British Airways
20s?
High Flyer of the Week, and I would like you to pick someone from outside of the men's team
So
to
the-
Do you want to
shout
get the A game off your chest?
Yeah, the A game, brilliant. Well done to the Gloucester coaches. And
Is that a nod for selection? Is that
no, it's just like regardless of what Portugal team showed up, they had to go out there and get the job done. And the players all played well. They showed what they can do. The coaches did a good job. It sounds like they had a good week. But I do just find it strange that I am a dinosaur. I'm beyond a dinosaur now because I'm talking about playing England Saxons in 2011. But we played the Irish Wolfhounds away at Connaught, and that makes you a tougher man.
I think I did that game, actually.
You play Scotland A at Newcastle Falcons, and that makes you a tougher man. And those games prepare you to take a step up to play international rugby. And unfortunately, that Portuguese game did not give those guys any preparation to go up and play against Ireland the following week.
Under 20 you've been in. It is worth saying that you went into camp and I can't remember
The week of the Wales game, I went in there.
Dropped it over the line. Who was
so the winger Alex Wills at Sale was at Worcester.
Yeah.
We had a roller coaster of a week and performance because we identified he's a left footer on the left wing.
Yeah.
And I was like, mate, you've got some opportunities to put that on your foot and have some attacking kicks. And in training, he did 2 and scored 2 tries from it. And me and Tofty are fist pumping. I'm like, I'm a great coach. How hard can it be? In the game, he puts it on his left foot twice in the first half. Matey boy does have you seen it where he kicks it to himself? We score off one of his attacking kicks.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, I've cracked coaching. Second half, he just gets a bit carried away with the left foot kicking on the edge and kicks one dead. And I'm like, yeah, I know we spoke about it, but don't do it every single time you get the ball. And then, unfortunately, he did drop it over
in the
line.
process of scoring.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where this puts me on my coaching journey.
Right, so he's not necessarily going to be our high flyer of the week. Anyone else in the under-20s who caught your eye?
So there's a lot of good forwards. Pollock's
a lot of noise around Pollock.
Yeah, like he gives it big beans. Like he's whooping, he's jeering crowd, and I actually quite rate it.
Sort of Benno, Maro, Atoje levels.
More.
And
people are going to...
That's what we need. We need more of that in the game.
I love it that when you get a scrum penalty, Benno has to at least get 30 yards in.
He's new. People are going to despise him.
Right.
But
Does he mind
rate
that?
it. I don't know, but I actually rate it.
Is he at Surrey's? No.
Henry Pollock, Northampton.
Saints,
He's
but
he's the one that went viral for effing and jeffing in the post-match interview.
What a great lad.
Yeah, he gives it huge, and I rate it. People are going to despise him though.
Right.
And then Ben Redshaw at 13 is sharp player. He's at Falcons. He's played a bit. He actually came out.
Let's put him in against Ireland just to
he
keep that consistency going.
He actually came out to train against us with England.
World Cup.
World Cup. Yeah, we get a few in, and he was good. He's good. Good player.
I think that's a good idea. That actually. Anyone from England? Harry Randall had a lively game at 9.
Harry Randall was lively at 9. Charlie Atkinson, the cherry and white, was pulling strings at
10.
Caden Murley obviously got a hat trick. Horse looked good.
Yeah.
Both wingers looking sharp, but Tom Pearson at flanker was man of the match and probably deservedly so as well. He was outstanding.
You're happy with Tom Pearson?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Good. Tom Pearson is our British Airways high flyer of the week. British Airways connecting people to over 190 destinations across the world. To feel inspired for your next adventure, head over to ba.com. On the subject of SCAS, who we've mentioned, and it is great to see her back, the Women's Six Nations is underway March 23rd. And on the SCAS and the rugby this week, Iona Mayer joins the girls. She is the 7-star who is prolific on TikTok and Instagram. You might not know that you know her, but you will, I'm sure, have seen her videos if you're online. She was competing in Vancouver this weekend, and she's vying for a spot in the US Eagles team that will appear in Paris this summer. So do tune in to that if you'd like to. France 13, Italy 13. And it all came down to the kick at the end. From a personal point of view, absolutely desperate for Paolo Garbisi to kick it, but also desperate for him to miss because it would have brought home one of the most outrageous, disgusting, and insufferable predictions of all time.
Predictions. Well, Hask was like, I think France is going to implode. Italy to win.
By 6.
Without even thinking about it, and it would have meant that he would have been right. And
he would
that
have been
would
right.
have been. He was almost trying to claim that he told you so, even when it was draw.
Yeah.
Even when it was a draw.
Stop clocks right twice a day, I think is the kind of expression that comes to mind.
I do feel that on a technical point, they could have had another shot at that.
I agree. It's a reset. It's a reset kick.
I actually don't think it should have been reset. Because when he started to charge, it had fallen off the tee anyway.
Charge off of.
Yeah, but you can't charge.
Yeah,
and then
I know.
Paul Budenhagen also moved during the actual kick itself.
He did, but they've lost their head at that point, haven't they?
You can't be doing it.
It's a reset. It's a
because
reset.
Technically,
because the actual charge when he did, the ball had already fallen off the tee.
But it doesn't matter. What the act is in hurrying and flustering the kicker at a penalty kick, which you're not allowed to do.
Yeah, but he was backing off by the time he started
Doesn't
putting back
matter.
on the
You
tee.
made the
They
move.
were
You've
all
added the
moving
pressure
around.
in moving forwards.
They were moving around.
Yes, I know.
once he had
I
it
know
back on the tee
you
as
don't have to
well.
tell me what they were doing. I
Sorry.
know what they were doing, and I understand what you're saying, but I don't think any of their movements actually would have affected
But they
Garvey
did.
in my
They
head.
did.
Well, they didn't. He just
They
just
did.
hit a shocker. The stop clock was far more pressure than what the French players did,
Yeah.
in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. That is true. But still, they were messing around and they're not allowed to.
How good was
It was
Whatso's try? How well did Italy play? And are we seeing steps forward now?
Look, we've talked about this all the time. I don't think they're a bad team. They just
They're a better team than they were.
Yes, of course. We've said that for last year. We said that since they beat.
They conceded 90 points in the World Cup to France.
in the
Zealand.
World Cup they weren't. They went back, but everyone was on song in that World Cup. That was as exposed as you could be for an Italy team that we're hoping that do well. But in terms of where they've been in the last Six Nations, they've been better for the last 3 tournaments now. And obviously they got the win against Wales that sort of kickstarted that. They should have won on the weekend. I mean, a bit of madness by France to even be going for the win from there. I mean, you'd be better you'd be better shooing it down there and going, okay, how much do you want to win?
Right,
and let them run it back rather than run it from your own 22. I was just thinking, if it hit the post and Mafana had done the edge and had gone. Just imagine. Nightmare. But look, I think France aren't at the races at the moment. I don't know what's going on at the moment. I thought they had good bits in the first half. We talked about in terms of they picked a big pack. Tuolangi, bit of a fend, bit of a rumble, but I don't know whether it is just a Dupont thing. And we've talked about the fact that their backroom staff has changed a bit behind the scenes, but they are not the same team. But I actually do think that's just how good Dupont is, and they haven't figured out how to play without that solidarity around 9 and what they do around rucks and ruck speed, and we know that Luku can play, but it's just a different gravy. And well done to Anton Dupont scoring his first Sevens try.
They came third in Vancouver.
Yeah, and then Italy. We talk about momentum shifts. Everything suddenly flipped.
Yeah.
And they were getting fast ball. France stopped competing at ball, and it was just. It just turned the other way.
What did you make of it? Are France properly wobbling?
Yeah, they're having a bit of a hangover, and I agree with Tins. Dupont probably is one, if not the best player in the world, and he's been the heartbeat of that team, whereby their forwards get a rumble on playing off him, and it opens up their jouet, and their whole DNA as a team is around him. So yeah, there's a bit of a hangover going on. Dupont's missing.
Aldrit was missing.
Yeah, was it Aldrit?
Max missing.
Did Aldrit?
And also,
the
the other thing is they got a red card before half time.
Yeah,
we forget to mention that. That's significant. That's against all these teams in this six. That's why it's just so amazing what Ireland are doing. If they do a Grand Slam again, it's so incredibly hard to beat. If you think about the fixtures you've got to go through and win to get the Grand Slam. And they are they're head and shoulders above everybody at the moment. Yeah. And they are, every one of them is a hard game. Italy away is a hard game. Italy at home in the wet, you get a red. All these games are very, very hard. And Italy are a good team.
It's worth mentioning, we talk about conceding 90 points. In fact, it was more than that because they lost 60 points to 7 to France at Rugby World Cup, Italy. And they had 90 points put on them by the All Blacks.
New Zealand, yeah.
It's time for our Heycar Six Nations Selector, where we delve into the past and try and pick the greatest players to have played in the Six Nations.
And Hask isn't here.
So which means I think we're in for quite a nice, easy afternoon of it this time around. We have made a bit of a meal of it in weeks past. Heycar only have the best quality used vehicles. You can buy directly online or in person through their trusted retailers. They even have vehicles that you can't find or buy anywhere else. Like our relationship with Heycar, this game is all about great partnerships, so our picks have to be made in units. So the front row that we're going to pick today have to have played together for the same nation. Are you with us? I hope so. One final twist, our team must be represented by all six Six Nations sides. There are 3 positional units left to fill. Our team currently looks like Hillback Delalio, Dupont Untimac, Darcy and O'Driscoll. They are all locked in, meaning we can't pick from France, England or Ireland today. So that means no Marcanet Servat or De Villiers, who started all 5 games in the 04 Grand Slam, or Domingo Servat and Mas. Nicola Mas was a good player, who started all of the games in 2010. Horan, Flannery and Hayes can't be picked. 8 starts, 8 wins. That's a hell of a run.
It is a good run.
Including the 09 Grand Slam.
Find the page.
You take your time, Johnny. I will fill until you get there. Marla Hartley-Cole, 2 championships, including 3 starts together in 2016, 5 starts in 2017. So you can't pick any of them. What you can pick is Wales, Italy or Scotland. So Gethin Jenkins, Matthew Rees and Adam Jones, 3 championships, including 2008 and 2012 Grand Slams. Strong. In Italy, you could have had Andrea Lo Cicero, 103 caps, Leonardo Giraldini, 107, and Martin Castrogiovanni, 110. And I'm smiling because Ben Kay tells the most amazing stories about Martin Castrogiovanni, and just for social elements alone.
Oh, my Lord.
Another level?
I have never seen anything like it. After they won the Premiership, and then we went to Hong Kong to play the Lions in Hong Kong, and he got on the plane in the most ridiculous state I've ever seen.
Right.
And almost had to land the plane to get him off the plane.
Right. That much fun.
And he woke up when we landed in Hong Kong and was told about everything he was doing. He went, so sorry. That was Giovanni. Giovanni, a nightmare. Castro here now, so we okay. That was it. We got off the plane. And literally all the Barbarian managers were like, we need to send him home. We need to send him home. And he was like, I'm sorry, I've no clue. Giovanni.
Did he get sent home?
No.
Oh, that's good.
They didn't have a replacement. I'd love to know what happened in Vegas with Ibrahimovic as well.
Oh.
So Jenkins, Rees and Adam Jones of Wales, 3 championships, 2 Grand Slams. Lo Cicero, Giraldini and Castrogiovanni, which can be a hell of an after party. Their credentials only really stack up. All 3 Test Centurions, but they were the starting front row in a win against France in 2013. So CV not amazing, but form.
But all 3 over 100 caps.
That's amazing.
I like that.
And we have to get
could be a little
Italy
tactical voting
in somewhere.
So, and that may well decide the front row, because are you going to pick an Italian second row or an Italian back 3? Probably not.
No. Yeah, let's go Italy.
Let's go Italy.
Yeah,
and that also celebrates a great, almost great week for them. As this will probably mean as much to them as the draw in France.
But it is still a great week for them, a draw in France.
Yes. And the front row in our Heycar Six Nations Dream team. I wonder if we could get some reaction from, I was going to say Castro, not Giovanni, but from Castro to his selection in our Heycar Six Nations team. Castro, if you're watching, give us a little thumbs up emoji. We are going to have Shane Horgan on the show next week, actually. So we will talk in great depth about Ireland and about, just what a phenomenal team they are right now. But just a quick reflection on 31-7 over Wales. Interestingly, Gatlin said it's not a fair or a reasonable reflection on the game. And Andy Farrell said, we're really disappointed we should have had 40. So amazing how coaches see it very differently off the back. But how do you cut the cake on that one?
They make it just look easy. And Wales, that's such a hard fixture, but they just make it look comfortable. Yeah. They look like they're going to win. They look like they're in complete control. We talk about a DuPont, any one of those players could come out and the next factory piece comes in and it does exactly the same.
Which is really interesting when you compare it to England, who are searching for a consistency in selection to let the game plan come through. Ireland have got to such a level, the game plan now is so identifiable that you can now change the players as you like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so
hard
to do.
They're on another level.
It's so hard to do in, Leinster having, 20 internationals at Leinster?
Yeah.
And then with England, someone could have a great game each week and someone will go, he needs to be playing for England.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's such a difficult situation to deal with. And that's where you have to have your coach who goes, right, this is my 25. It is not changing. And
let them work it out.
Yeah.
It's almost like you should stick your EPS, pick your EPS, and that's it for a year.
That's what could happen with these central contracts, because you're essentially going to give X amount of players the central contract, and it's essentially a gamble of the RFU because.
Yeah, but it is a gamble though.
Pardon?
It is going to be a gamble.
Yeah, because then the RFU aren't going to be too happy if Steve's paying these 25 a fixed amount, and then you've got to bring in somebody and pay him a fee. But that's sort of, maybe that is what isn't. I don't have the answers because Ireland don't have the issue of the depth and the teams playing. But maybe that is a good thing, just to get 30 players. These are your guys. These are having a year at it.
Okay, Much more to come on Ireland next week, as we said, with Shane Horgan. We're going to stick in a quick note from our friends at NordVPN, who are back and offering Good Bad Rugby listeners an exclusive deal. Did you know you can switch your virtual location, allowing you to save money by purchasing flights, hotels, subscriptions from other countries at cheaper prices? You're going to Bahrain this weekend, aren't you? What are you going to be watching via NordVPN?
I didn't know you could book hotels and make cheaper prices.
That's what it says.
Wow.
We learn something new every day.
I will investigate that.
Good.
Yeah, no, going to Bahrain first Grand Prix of the
another busy weekend
of the year. The downside would be it might be quite sad. Sorry for it. We've got into Gladiators as a family. You ever used to watch? I used to watch Gladiators as a family when I was
absolutely loved it.
Was it the Wolf?
Ooga!
Was it Wolf?
Yeah, Wolf.
Yeah.
He was the bad one. He's the Viper.
Rhino.
The Viper is the new one.
Yeah. Shadow
Shadow was the beast.
Who was your favourite?
Beast on
Who was
Duel.
your favourite of the originals? Jet. Nightshade.
You just wanted to get Jet in there, didn't you? Because it was Jet, Lightning, Nightshade.
Yeah.
I love Shadow because he was a beast on Duel. He used to batter people.
Yeah.
I can't remember many of them. I remember Wolf, but I did play England under-20s with Apollo, the current Gladiator.
Did you really?
Alex Gray.
What was Apollo like as an England under-20?
Good player. He did. He was back row. He was elusive, fast,
he was captain,
strong.
Wasn't he?
At times, not like
times.
first draft captain. Tom Cassens was. But then he did the England Sevens, and he actually went and did a stint in the NFL as well, and now he's a Gladiator.
But
I don't know. Have you watched much of it or not?
No.
No.
We've got a couple of because obviously we've got a female
Jodie
rugby player,
Amsley.
Jodie Amsley.
I love the fact you're going to Bahrain to watch Gladiators.
Get my little fix.
That's part of the Tyndall makeup. You too can go to Bahrain and watch Gladiators.
You two's going to Bahrain.
You too. Yeah, this is unravelling a little bit. But to get the best discount off NordVPN, go to nordvpn.com/goodbadrugby. Our link can give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan, plus a bonus gift, and the link is in the podcast episode description box. Black Eye of the Week. Time to ride the storms and celebrate the sunshine with our Black Eye of the Week. Every week we send a bottle to someone who is celebrating the game for alternative reasons, or someone who perhaps needs a pick-me-up. Not this week. It is a celebration. We are sending a bottle to the great Dr. James Robson, the Doc, who's just hung up his stethoscope at the weekend after over 30 years working for Scotland and the British and Irish Lions. If you've ever watched any of the great Lions behind-the-scenes documentaries, he was absolutely central to all of the good stuff that the Lions stands for. Not many have done as much for player welfare. He's led the guidance on If in Doubt, Sit Them Out, which we've seen emblazoned on the Scotland team anthem jackets. And just, would you ever have come across him? Did he scrape you off the pitch on any occasions?
Yeah, obviously not being a Lion, I haven't spent that. I haven't had that sort of solely. But yeah, I've spoke to him loads of times at Scotland games and chatted to him before, back when I was playing and everything else. So,
just a great man.
Yeah, he's a great man.
Yeah. Well done, the Doc. Thank you for all that you've done for the game. We'll stick a bottle in the post to you, and hopefully you'll find a quiet corner and a quiet time to enjoy that. Black Eye Gin's available from Amazon, Selected Sainsbury's, and Master of Malt. It's got botanicals from every major rugby playing nation, and £1.50 from every bottle sold goes into the Black Eye Rugby Fund, which is aiming to raise £1 million a year to help with the areas of risk, research, and recovery within the game of rugby union. Get a bottle in for the last 2 rounds of the Six Nations. Swap a beer for a gin and tonic and help the game you love as you do so. What's next on the radar?
I need the toilet.
Yeah. Right, okay.
Short term. And then we've got lock-in.
We do.
And then it's.
Are you ready for the lock-in?
And then me and Tins need to find a way back to Gloucester, Cheltenham, because there's a tree on the track.
Hopefully it will be sorted out.
The lock-in this week is Would You Rather with Jonny May, and we have had some unbelievable questions, which I'm quite excited about getting into. That's available in all the channels where you can subscribe to the lock-in if you want to. That's it for this week. I know it's been very Anglo-centric, and apologies if that hasn't quite floated your boat, but for England fans, hopefully it's been a fairly therapeutic session, digesting on a game that got away, but 1 or 2 seeds perhaps of hope for the future. Thank you to our friends as always at Continental Tyres. Stats and facts provided by Oval Insights. We're a folding pocket production, and this episode was produced by Tom Edwards. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Bye for now.